Good morning, everyone. If you all would find a seat, there's some coffee available and water over on the side of the room. We appreciate you all being here today. We're going to try to stick to our timeline of starting right at 9 o'clock. We're probably a minute or so behind. I'm going to yield the podium to our two co-chairs of the Watershed Erosion Task Force. And again, thank you for being here.
Turn my mic on. Member Gunther? Here. Member Utrecht? Here. Member Sturman? Here. Member Holthouse? Here. Member Tripp? Member Rambo? Here. Member Archeski? Here. Member Galtney? Here. Councilmember Grignani? Here. Councilmember Edens? Here. Councilmember Remy? Yes. Councilmember Farmer? Councilmember McCutcheon? Councilmember Boat? Councilmember McCune? Here. Councilmember Garitano?
Thank you guys all. Watershed, wildwood. Our first foremost goal is to identify many areas, then identify solutions, and hopefully come up with reasonable, methodic approach. Engage a lot of community, a lot of partnerships with other organizations, quite frankly. So our first step is to identify those locations. You might say, I heard you know we've got erosion. My house is going to fall into a creek. That is true. We have to identify all of the locations and grid it in a way that's meaningful to understand as to approach the problem, but also be able to close them. So that's why we need today have a great collection process. And then over the next 2 or 3 months, we're actually going to be walking through and inventory a lot of. So I'm very appreciative for our participation. This is just step one. As we move forward, we're going to need a lot more to help walk the streets, and more community members have. The more we can like this process. Very so the two folks that have Dr. Northmeyer are actually not just giving education background today, they've been to help us identify. So just to let you know. So Dr.
Thank you, Rick and Dr. Remy. My name is David Hammer. I'm a professor emeritus of civil and environmental engineering at the University of Missouri. Emeritus means that I'm a recovering retired. I have been working with Wildwood since before it was a city. I was first contracted in August of 1995. And at that time, if you remember, you were scrambling to put together your master plan so that it could become incorporated by the end of 95. So I've spent a lot of time in the creek. This presentation will leave some of you with questions and will leave some of you wondering, because I gave a previous presentation to the Stormwater and Erosion Committee several months ago in which I gave them a more background. I don't have time to do that today. This presentation is aimed specifically at what we're going to see in the field today and specifically what we've been talking about. So this picture is kind of key to some of the things we've been talking about. This is a manhole for a sewage line that was in the Talk Street near Elegant Child daycare. And this erosion, see there's still some vegetation, soil hanging tight. That's about 14 feet here, here. All that erosion occurred in one storm. That's about 20 feet off this stuff. The point is that when we are in conditions that are optimum for erosion off street, it's entirely unpredictable. Things happen really fast. The system is very dynamic. It's hard to predict exactly what's going to erode when because there are so many variables involved, including the soil landscape conditions, what's been done in the watershed. Is the soil already wet when you get a flood because it's more erodible then? So I'm going to focus on a couple of key points. I think of all the situations you have in Wildwood, this one right here is most important. Here's the Elegant Child Daycare Center right here. This is Coffee Creek. We've got a double tender. This is Strecker Road where you've already done that really good foundation work. Strecker Road. When the city was first founding, it was about 126 feet from Cut Bank to highway when we went into the area. So you've got several other situations that are like that. The two most important right here on this double meander, they're both bank eroding. So on 126 here, 1995 to 85, 2012 and 75. And that could accelerate, it could stabilize for a while. But the other situation here, the reason I've got two lines, generally measure from inflection point to inflection point, highest eroding surface or place, but the inflection point migrating down here and down and upstream here. So if this blows out, which it eventually will, it's going to be a mess all the way downstream. And several bridges you built are going to be wrecked. Bridges have already replaced. Okay, so that's why I've got that in there. The other thing that's going on is this whole side of the road. You look at the aerial photos and take that's entirely different. So this is something that you really need to put on. As we go out to the field today, one of the things you're going to see is that there is a detention basin associated with the Elegant Child Daycare Center, and it has been maintained. This is a picture of it. Right here, you can see the thing is completely overgrown with brush. You didn't know what it was, you wouldn't know what it was. And it's blown out here, and the exit for the stormwater that's supposed to be retained is not being well maintained. This was fractured because you've got a lot of these in the city. One of my recommendations is find out where every one of them is, clean them up, make them functional so they can be water stored. This is looking at the cut bank, the Elegant Child. The stormwater pipe comes out of that detention basin. This bank has been eroding so rapidly that Joe and I were out there, 3 months ago? We lost 2 segments of pipe. About 3 or 4. This bank has probably moved, and I say probably because our base station we used when we shot transects across this 15, 20 years ago is gone, washed away. But I'm guessing this bank is 40, about 10 to 15. We look a little bit farther down where the detention station blew out. All this lost last month. That's about 50. Give you an idea of the scale. This is one big slump that occurred. This is not. It's got low flow event. The bank is undercut. Then later it collapses. So the erosion, the steady by jerk kind of a situation, not constant, very different. Quantify. The other thing that's going on off the creek, it has its size cut down, it's widened, and it washes the fines out. High storm events leaves all the rock behind. We're not sure whether the rock is moving through the system or it's collecting. But what is happening? See my son standing here. This is the rock collection point or the accumulation. Since we were out here 10 years ago, it's higher. This is your channel. This rock is forcing stream flow up all up and down avenues of the GIS system to talk about later. The other thing we see as the creek widens, cuts down, all feed into it, erosion station. All up and down across the creek watershed, you've got places that used to be thermal drainage places now completely eroding. This was not a creek, but it's now way back about 40. So that's an ancillary problem. You're going to see several of the same kind of pictures just to illustrate as we go down the creek around those double meanders. It's the same everywhere you look. All this has collapsed and left. Point bars have moved out toward the cut bank and have vegetated. This is a pipe for a fence post where we used to do transects across the road. It's all vegetated. That's how far the move. We used to stand on gravel right here. Now the edge of the point bar is back here about 50 feet. The stake was put down. Here's another one of the things that down. The one place we did a really good correct road right back here. This is the bank board. We actually moved the creek back out where we're supposed to go. There's a little bit of problem here. This part, that's another. Spent a lot of money on the creek and key place, both bank restoration and bridge. There's no maintenance program. Nobody goes out to check on it. You wouldn't do that to your car. You wouldn't buy a car. Never. Why would you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, bank restoration, bridges, and not that investment? What we're seeing here is that some of the rocks that we put in both bank and plate, then washed out, pipes closed, 6, 750,000. I'll just skip by this. This is where I put the stake. So don't feel where I take that cross. This is one of the great success stories. Bridge Lake in 2002 is the other one was about to collapse. Intuition Logic, our fire talked about some of the work they've done. Designed this. We called it a living wall because we actually planted something here. So this was very carefully done. If I'd known I was going to have a lot of people there that had seen this put in the slide. We actually laid the creek bank back from its 90 degrees to the natural angle of the hose of the material formed from, which is about 30%. We put the heavy rocks in space. We actually raised the rocks up. There's geotech fabric under this, pulled everything together. Put the rocks far enough we could plant trees. We come out. This as far as landscape, and it worked great. This is what it looked like when we first did it. This was about 2005, and this was winter 2000. We actually began to restore the creek because vegetation changed the contour of the creek completely. The whole section of the creek stabilized at this point. Then Ameren came and reduced it, and now what we see is this section was stable here. This was a straight line. This is all eroded back. This all has eroded here, eroding on the other side where the living wall was. Here, the rock is gone. Down the creek now. You get that fabric being exposed because the vegetation was. So the whole system worked. And that was one that we could have won. There just wasn't push. So got to own this. Got to step up and say, I take care of this. Make sure that we protect the what's happening there. Move a little bit down or upstream. Some of the old stormwater pipes so far back in the system. Somebody has dropped riprap. You knew when this thing fell in the creek it was going to blow up. The riprap is going to not making your own correction. You own property on all the city. Talk to somebody before you do it. is why we replaced the old footing that goes back. This could be corrected pretty quickly. Could be a priority item. Shepherd Road Bridge. Engineering on this was great, except the bridge up. So if you're looking upstream, standing on the bridge right here, see that there's two huge point bars that form from the bed load. Water is pushed up again, and one bank is approaching the bridge. Now I've gone away from the bridge. Here I'm looking back the other way, and I'm doing this to the size of about 20 feet. But once those things settle in, they become a problem that exacerbates everything else. Here's another picture of the same part. I'll show you this pile of trees. I'll show you in a minute. But here, this illustrates water being up. It should be in the center of the camp. The bed load has forced back and forth. Every place comes up against the south. The other thing that happens, I told you about the erosion. They put 4 places right into your branch erosion field. Because in that same area, to the upstream side, somebody has gone in. I don't know who it is. They've made a ramp. They're in there dropping riprap on the bank. The bank goes out. Here's another one of those erosion. Over here, somebody has put gravel up. Has eroded 80. This isn't going to work. Next storm is going to take all this up, all that money, all completely done. If they had laid this bank back at an angle, geotech fabric, forced up on the bottom, line run up and put vegetation there, but up there. Doesn't harm. Here's a shot of the tree, like I said. Here's another. Real basic stuff. I will bridge. Somewhat. You look downstream and see the blowout on the west side of the bank, but downstream the bridge. Because this bridge was built too big, the stream was allowed to widen, and it dropped all that bed road there that it wouldn't otherwise have dropped. And it's created a problem where the stream still is in its normal channel. Park Road Bridge. This was built after we figured out how to do it right. I'm looking downstream from the bridge, which is right here. This rock was supported, no vegetation. On the other side, they actually put plastic, put the rock on top of that. I don't know why you would do that if Wildwood already figured out how to put it right. I was down there right after the bridge was built. Here's another picture of the rock. Here's what happens downstream. Riprap blowing out. Then look upstream. This is what it looked like. How the bridge, somebody's coming into the tank. Moves sediment. I don't know what that's. It's not going to do anything. It's doing a drop in a lot of sediment here. Creates a problem. Another example, Joe has no idea. The director of planning for Wildwood on the bridge. This is what it looked like downstream. Right after they did it, all the riprap was on the stream, here. This is what it looks like now. You can see they did cut the bank back. What they actually did was come in and route it. Sure that the point is, there needs to be somebody in charge, knows what they're doing. It needs to be a common effort of the city of Wildwood and its residents. Residents need to work with the city. Don't try to take matters because you won't. You won't be able to do it. Right? It takes a lot of expertise. That's another topic. Yes, they do. I don't know if they're meant to, it's not. Spent a lot of in your master plan, in the city council, with the residents, gives the people that work here an opportunity to work in a consistent way with these other agencies. It's really difficult to do. What I'm saying is, founded yourselves, get this environmental situation under control, haven't written word on it the way you need to do. You haven't forced and empowered people in the city, the city council. Yeah. Every time there's election, you need to have your legacy part of who you are. Thank you, Doug. I couldn't say that. This is one situation I'm working with. This is one situation to work with. This is stress. This is a defense base that is exactly what it is. Really deep soil right here. We were out in the field about 6 years ago. The builder wanted to run the road up this natural set. We said, no, we're not going to let you do that, because the soil here is about 30 tons. So we made this defense base. An engineering person in Missouri actually modeled the whole water. Predicted how much the max that would need to be held back here. Got it right size. The exit pathway were big enough to allow all the water that would overflow exit the pipe. Take the exit over never been over top. We cleared it out. Full effect effort. In fact, MSD was so negative about this first, they required the city to put up a bond. We tried to do this to see if it worked. And it worked. We got money back to the bond. Now MSD this county. The importance of that is they will work with you if you get good data, if you are consistent in how you're approaching. Unfortunately, like a lot of the other states, still functions, but it's a lot smaller because you make a plant. Nobody's taking the trees off the road. Here's a question came up this morning: do you have enough volume to make a difference? Probably do. Some of them are too big. This is startup. One of the problems with the old state design, MSD requires there be a cement pad to shoot the water toward the exit, but right out the bottom. What do you think? There's a hole in the bottom of that. So Joe went out, closed this up, made a smaller hole, closed it out, good. Ideally, you'd have things come next to large pipe top, which is right below this. So no water would leak until water. Because one of the problems here is there's such a quick delivery of all the impermeable surface that when it rains, water's in the creek. The idea here is to hold it back. Here's another one down at the story. Here again, wrong kind of water flows up. They're not mean. So one of my recommendations, inventory them all, have the subdivision. Long run. You're not looking at the six. As Dr. Remy said this morning in the meeting, this is 25 to 30 project. This is that complex, that big. The thing is, you need to prioritize what's done first. Get it forward. Really, here are my recommendations. I'm not going to read them. Read them yourself. If you have any questions, ask again. One other point. Throw your garbage in the creek. Don't throw anything in the creek. Nothing in the creek. That may be a fish line. Got enough water in the pool. Any questions? What we're saying is it's going to take 20 years to get the whole thing under control, but you got to prioritize starting out because a couple. Yes. That's correct. One thought on this, and this goes back to that Windcrest interface. Time we did that, we had a pretty good education. 2 classes semester to the Rockwood School District teaching a splash class. They were doing, kids were doing a really good job of posting work on the web. All the St. Louis Zoo even picked up on what we're doing, had an exhibit there for about 5 years. If you're a little bit more proactive, taking your stories to the media, experience here is going to write the story and take it to them, the probability that they'll get published goes way up. All they have to do is edit it. But once you get the word out, this is what you're doing. United behind this, involving other agencies, the good publicity will help draw these agencies in. I think one of the reasons MSP, we were in the news at least once a month. So it was a feather in the cap to do something different that was constructive and effective. So that approach will help. If you just go to them, they're underfunded. Else, it's got to be something that that's easy. Part of the way. LiDAR is a new technology. The aircraft or drone will use high resolution. Some of them are so good you can actually shoot to a forest cancer, but they have a lot of trouble with LiDAR. Get a very fine, high resolution surface map, which will allow you then to map volume of material in the stream. They fly these things fairly regularly so that you get this into a GIS database where the computer will actually generate volume, land surface, looking at slopes, and that sort of thing. It'd be pretty easy to, relatively easy to determine a key question. Is this huge bed load actually moving through the system? And if so, how much water does it take to move it? How far does it go? Or is this stuff simply piling up? This rock just piling up? I was out of state for about 6-7 years. I worked with USDA. So I left in 2005 back in 2012. That 7-year gap was allowed me to bring a new perspective, walk the street, and I found that this looks a lot. Personal hypothesis is, I don't know this, the hypothesis is that in some parts of the watershed, you're actually upgrading or building up the level of rock. That's forcing the stream to do so. That's what. That was a great question. Yes. Contractors are going to do what they're going to do in all likelihood. If you educate the public that it's not a good idea to spend $15,000 on a gabion wall 20 feet long in your backyard, that'll probably be fairly effective. My suggestion would be have a monthly newsletter. Or probably have them. Again, as if everybody goes up, gradually build up. Have more of these workshops, 2 or 3 a year, for people to come and actually. So it's not a concept. Good point. Thanks. This is a unique city. You formed specifically because problems urban up. You're the only city in the country. Only city in the country formed specifically to take control of your own environment. Yes. specifically the ordinance that was put in place in 2005. There were 3 ordinances that were overlapped to deal with the erosion of stormwater runoff. One was the environmental zoning matrix that I created. It's the only one in the country. You're the only city in the country with a soil landform-based environmental zoning designed to put the buildings in places in the landscape where they wouldn't produce the erosion. So most of them are up on the new construction. 1995 is all in places where it's designed to minimize erosion. Working. Gone back out and checked. There was also a tree ordinance, grading ordinance. So when somebody's going to build a home here, they have to take into account soil, the landscape, the tree, and how they're going to. And so you've got a good system in place to minimize the ongoing erosion. But there was one part of your state that was not exactly correct. One of the oldest principles in geomorphology, study of Earth's superficial system, is that as a stream dissects the landscape, everything that feeds into it, all the other ground erode to the same base level. So a lot of your erosion in the uplands, accelerated erosion, because all these ephemeral drainage ways are cutting their way down to the new base level of Fox Creek, which in some places 20 or 30 feet was back.
For the erosion task force, we don't have a website. The wild test, but highlighting how right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, great. All right.
All right. Excellent. All right, this is a huge turnout. Okay, so one of the things that we're looking to do is provide a tool so that anybody can go and start collecting data. Talk about the GIS, the graphic database, talk about LiDAR and data that's available to us. We're trying to start to put together a large inventory of all of the watershed, streams, problem, and this will help feed into the database. So today we're going to talk about a little bit about the purpose. We'll go through those collection forms, and the whole point is when we're done, we're going to go out into the field and we're going to test run this data collection. So again, purpose, data collection points. It's a method for anybody to go out into the field and collect data at an erosion point or just a point in chance. And that data is repeatable if somebody was collecting it in 2 different. So collect the same items, you're rating it based on the same criteria. So no matter what watershed you're in, you get the same data. That means when you score it, red, green, and blue would be good, fair. It's apples to apples across several watersheds. While we want to make sure we're collecting data in one watershed differently than we are. All of this data will help the erosion task force in diagnosing what are the issues along the channel? What's driving? So more data. The So what we'll do is you'll notice a lot of these criteria here are the criteria of data sheet. For each data point, we are going to score 12 different criteria. Then it'll go into a database, we'll weight it, and we'll come up with a score that'll give us the condition of the fair, good. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're talking about right now. So let's start with what to wear. It's not lost on wear. However, you do want to make sure you good boot, footwear. It's something I hope to make sure that you can slide into the water that for good water. Socks are important even in the summer. A lot of you gotta have good. Of course, if summertime, sure you're wearing something cool and hat, water with you. Wintertime, you glove, whatever's appropriate for that. Also, bright colored clothing, so it can be seen in the camp. Talk about what to bring. Snacks, clipboard, depending on how. If you're going out just to listen to someone, probably. However, if you're like, I would really like to walk up the channel back, just let go ahead. Make sure you got pencils, you want to halfway green, one. Make sure you've got your cell phone. Make sure you've got data collection forms, camera, backup batteries. Whatever will go wrong or can go wrong, I guess will go wrong. So you've got the data sheet in front of you. This page, that's the page. But what we want to do is, the idea is you're going to collect this data, you get the data back, close the tab, put it. So that's the theory. So what we'll want is go ahead and when you have a collection point number, if you're doing multiple points, just so your data don't get messed up, just track. And if the way to use track. General information, just your name, the date, the channel that you're in. If you don't know the channel that you're probably so that's not as big of a deal. The point location, I'm going to get into. So there's several ways for us to determine where you are in the field. We do have to talk about the GIS, the exact same system that car same system, all same. So you can download this is a free app. It's called GeoCam. So you can download the GeoCam app. GeoCam app takes horrible pictures. It's wonderful. Northeast platform. We can take this board, type them into GIS system. Dot. You look at your map, Google Maps or whatever, or your map when you're driving, and that little blue dot, that view, that's the same thing. Or the car as it's moving around, flat wrong. So I would encourage everybody to have an download pictures. Today we know where we're going to be, so we can go ahead and take all the. Another way would be to screenshot a Google Map. If you're doing that, make sure that it's close enough that it makes sense. So like this is pretty far out. My office, that's just to a mall. That's Parkway here. That's pretty far away. It's going to be really tough to find exactly field. So you want to get close enough to where you can pin it down, actually see the office building, but you need enough road. Somebody can later The other thing I would say is when you're out there, so you got to have a location and you take a photograph. All I would say, stand back far enough so keep them level. It's just a basic photograph, but when you look at something like this, that's so if you're looking, want to show something, take a picture of it, take a close-up picture, stand back, get the whole bank, whole erosion feature, or whatever it is that you're taking a picture of. And mentor always say, half the get it all in. Get a portrait view, you need to get the top bank, get the side. Also on the photos, make your description short. Note things. Take a photo. Just photo 10 is the left bank, 11 is the right bank, 12 is the talk about left bank. Always face. So it's a common term that we're used to MSD and federal emergency. They all left in the bank like always face. Okay, so that's sort of the ramp up, basic data. You're going to get out there, you're going to fill out the front part of the sheet, who you are, maybe take a few photos, log them in the sheet, and take your GeoCam photo or screenshot of your location. And then you're going to get into 12. And so I'm going to go through all 12 of these points one by one. Each point in the sheet has got a little description. And what we like is if you could provide feedback, whether the description, I'm not sure. That would so it'd be after you look at this, done today, talk about. Let's get some feedback. We want those little descriptions. Ultimately, we like to provide the forms online so anybody can download them. If we want anybody to download them, read them, go, oh yeah, okay, sure, I can. And it makes it perfect. So bank soil texture and cohesion is going to tell us how strong the bank material is. Each one has a good, fair, poor rating. Rated good, 1, fair, 2, 4 is a 3. That's across all 12 of them. So look at the soil. Good means it's really strong. So that is a limestone. That's the ultimate. So that is that's really good. Looking at the soil, Dr. was talking about saturated, maybe goes faster, but if looking at it and see something like this where you see a little gravel in this, you can see a lot of this, see a lot of these fair, sandy, clay soils. You know, if you want to get soil a little bit, poor soils would have high shale content. See all those little rocks in there. That's the high shale. It's easily erodible. Go in there and sort of hit the crumble and fall apart. So just looking for an indication of bank material. And I think in a lot of our watersheds we're going to see a lot of fair. Talks pretty good. The next 2 points are the bank angle, the bank height. Let's talk about these together because they kind of go together. So, and I keep looking at the screen. It's right in front of me. Look here. So the bank angle we're looking is at a 2 to 1, but it's the vertical to horizontal. So on a good slope, if it is a 2 to 1, means 2 vertical to 1 horizontal. So if it's a 2 to 1 slope or flatter, we're going to call that a good angle. Anything that's a little bit steeper than 2 to 1, and it says 2 to 1 to 1.7. I think most of these are there, but that geocam gives you the angle at 45 degrees. You could use that most fuzzy area. But 2 to 1, there's 1.7 to 1 deeper, so 1 to 1. Yes.
Earlier photos showed it like a rod.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you'll see in a lot of these photos, you'll see a rod like that. I have one in the car. They can be anything from 5 foot seems great because you can also get a walking stick. You just paint white black every foot, and it helps if you're taking photos to have that. But you can lay that on the slope and stand back, and it really becomes clear if that's a wonderful slope. So that's the thing. Bank height. So on the bank height, we are looking at the highest point. So when you're looking at the bank angle and the bank height, you have this side of this side 15. You're a huge sediment. You're going to be measuring 15. Worst case scenario at that cross. But it's going to be high, it's going to be measured from the lowest point that you can tell in the channel to what looks like an obvious top. So obviously, this is the bank slope. Bank height good. No issues there. This is one where the bank slope is vertical. That's cool. The bank height is fair because over 6 feet, less than 12. On a lot of these pictures I took, so think about I can see the top of bank. Probably good. Good. Here's another one. Again, 4. It's vertical. There's the little 5 foot rod there, and this is over 12. Next is vegetated bank protection. The whole point on this one is there vegetation. A lot of the areas that you see, again, this becomes a lot of it's good. We also take into consideration how thick, how wide, very important. And I think, like speed, it may be just for whether. But good, obviously. I do have these pictures of wonderful wild streams. There are really good streams out there. We're just, by the time we're having this conversation, but this is very common. This is actually good. We've got a narrow riparian corridor, but we do have vegetation. Help stay. A fair would be, you see, you got spots where the vegetation has eroded out. That would be a fair. We still got vegetation coming down the slope, body. A lot of it's on the top slope. You start to see that root, being undercut. Trees are sort of start to slide down the slope. And then, of course, 4 would be there's no vegetation. And again, that's one where I see a lot of vegetated. So, and I can tell you now, so the question was mentioning that honeysuckle, for example, is not a good vegetation. And the scoring parameter comes from a Johnson Hay paper deck. It's been applied to MoDOT bridge design. It's been applied to various geomorphic programs. It has a species. So I pulled species. Yeah, I pulled very important. So there's also an understory. So when we talk about the vegetation, there's a lot that goes into it. But I think, unless you're all for it gets tough. So, yeah. If you're out there now and something's budding and nothing else is, it's the honeysuckle, and it's bad. And it's bad for several reasons. It's first what's out, stays off everything. So no surface. Also, the only heat is grapevine. Starts falling trees, stuff with grapevine combination. It just okay, so bank cutting again, good fair for. For the good bank cutting, it's going to be pretty mild. But with bank cutting, you're looking right along the toe. So you can see this would be a fair. So you see more bank cutting here. We have put 4 foot high as sort of the height. The bank cutting as you go through the watershed is the height is different. Down the watershed, lower third of the watershed, you'll see cutting. Up in the upper third of the watershed. But if you have obvious cutting, you have parts where it's not, parts where it is, that's fair. If it's pretty consistent cutting, that would be good. Consistent cutting, yeah. On mass wasting, so Dr. Hammer alluded to that picture talks where that huge chunk fell in. That's mass wasting. A lot of times you'll see we try to indicate slumping and mass wasting. So the bank cutting that we're talking about on this one, and the mass wasting. What you want to do is see. Here's an example. Kind of see these little bulges at the bottom of the toe. Not so much, but see where there's maybe past slump, or there's no slump at all. That's good. But if you see indications of past slumping, but it's all healed over, still going to be good. If you see a lot of past slumping, again, you see this is like a chunk of earth just kind of pushed down off the slope. So you see a deep cut face here, you see a mass here. That's what the mechanism is. Cutting, falls in, washes away. That's the problem. Yeah. Something like this would be considered a fair, where you're just starting to see some mass wasting, you still have vegetation. So something like this, and like the picture Dr. Hammer had there, obvious. Pretty small. Got vertical cut. I know that material. Fall. On bar development, you're going to see this is another good pour. A lot of air on bars. So either you've got a healthy system and your bar is this is what just a sediment bar. So it can't sand. If it is 1/4 of the way across the channel or less, healthy channel, it's an indication of good sediment. This is what we'll see in caulk. This is actually a fish pot, but you're going to see, the channel will be over here, and it's all sediment. So that's going to be a pour. So we'll see a lot of that, but it's just how far across the channel. If you don't have water there, so something like this, you see this big slope here, and then it goes around the bend, it goes the other way, and slopes on the other side. This little area of the bank, that bar is all the way up. Pre-jam potential, it's just that. So it's look around and you see really no debris, there's really no chance of debris. That's good. You see a lot of fallen trees, if you see a lot of rubble, that potentially cause debris, that's fair. And then if you actually see that helps. And with the debris jams, it's not necessarily unnatural, but if you have a channel that is superior over here, a lot go through the scoring matrix. You have all good, and you have a bad on debris jams. I can obstructions and flows goes with debris. So I would put them together. So if you see not a lot of obstructions in the channel, means it's pretty wide open. If you do see where trees are falling, or if there's man-made obstructions, these four pipes that have fallen in and they're out, whether they're permanent, whether transient, move down with the next storm, that would be fair. If you have the hard, permanent deflection point, that would be. And the reason this is for, other than that sanitary, for see the bank here is eroding, and the mechanism as the flow comes down, the water turns perfectly any structure. Have sanitary flows, so angle and it'll actually flow. So even here, another sanitary cover up. Bed material, just in case. So think about getting the best bed material. Yeah. Fair, or this is also bed box. This would be fair. So this moderate, less than 4 millimeters. So we'll look at that and know it. So it's a lot of it. There's just a little bit of it. This is actually fairly armored. Talks a lot of players, odd material in that. Good or bad. So again, little consolidation. That's another thing we have. Walking on it, put on gravel bar, bike bar. Look down at it, all bigger. This one, mud. Like charcoal. That- deep clay. So really just look how well this bed channel constrictions could be going in. No constrictions would be good. This is the only picture that I could find of 25 to 50. Channel constrictions good for, not a lot. Really excited about it. So this would be a fair. And something like this where it's really cut the wall or any. So this 12 sediment movement, the last one number. We want an indication how healthy sediment management. So think of it always geomorphology, how water shapes the earth is, how well sediment managed to move through the system. So if you have not much sediment, have a little bit, move through, health, good. So we'll say No, we have, I guess sediment movement is it's a natural process. So the bank cutting is a natural process, and deposition. What we're finding is the sediment movement for this helps us indicate whether it's a problem. So it's, with, I guess, all of these processes, channel meandering, the cutting, and the deposition, very predictable. You sit down and draw the channel and predict what's going to look like in 5 years. Very problem is you have to understand power instead of a geomorphic or spatial frame. So the sediment's not really causing erosion, part of the process. You got the bank erosion creating sediment that's not getting properly managed in the channel. Yeah, it's an indicator. And then if you get enough sediment in the channel, the water sounds alive, but the water will, instead of move sediment through, it's going to start attacking the bank. That becomes the part of the channel, depending on the bank, which will release more sediment. But at some point, it can't cut that meander any further, so it'll start cutting back sediment, or it'll cut off. You know, you've seen those meander patterns, and all of a sudden it cuts off. The little oxbow talking big group, they'll have a cut off, and that becomes sediment too, because it's really steep and flow that sediment through and flow. And now you've got sediment and issues downstream, because now we've got all this sediment being delivered. And the whole idea, natural management, liberating very natural for sediment, like generated in the upper third and moved through the middle third of the watershed, deposited in the bottom. So those would be the alluvial things. But it's very unnatural. Well, I think we're almost pre where we are develop, build the data with all those information plus all the other. And start to evaluate not just the problem, but we can evaluate the system as a whole, find what needs to be what's right. So we're super early in. I
little bit about obviously the problem is
There is, and there's a lot of ways to go after. So for these data, I think if you're in, it depends where you are, and if you're in the upper part of Cox Creek, so if it's smaller, every 200 probably. Once you get to the middle where the channel's pretty wide, pretty consistent, you can stand there and see 5. One of the things we're trying to do is get a general help. We had, but at the beginning, you saw all those data collection points in those watersheds. Notice a lot of them are red. So if we're walking through mid and north, we like just say it's poor, but yeah, oh my God, horrible. Actually, now. No vegetation. Here's the data. Okay. Here's the photo of it. Data. Very. So that was a way to really walk around it, but I guess for the upper channels, things can change quite. Maybe it's 500 feet. At that point, yes, 500 feet. It's still horrible, but now I can see. All I'm doing is documenting the horrible, putting data. So when you say it's horrible, not just it's data that was taken and criteria that's embedded. These data points that you take, same data points that they take, this very regimented way. Data.
also that's something where you might also want to be update or
You know, so with the data point, and I should probably step back a bit. So there's going to be a watershed master, and it's going to have a suite of capital improvement projects, and those projects will be what we see as these data points. And so, because they will go to inform the process. The other things we'll be doing is we get every year, every other year, newer, better LiDAR data, which is very active. So that'll be part of this. We'll also be how moving, how set. So it'll all come together, and what'll happen is could set all the projects in motion, set your priorities, and 5 years down the road, another area, what priority. So they did took on fair, so now they're rolling out green before and finding all of the sediment moving through and thaw away from 50 feet to the left bank. So I'm thinking not 5 years, go back.
Did it help well that you go slow? You're able to beat back on Fox Creek. Stuff.
see how deep it. So we've got, you know, there may be additional gauge data. There's some existing gauge data in this watershed, but we can, you know, if we have a big rain event, you have a video of when it hit its peak. We can use that. The typical method is to develop a model of the water, how deep it's flowing, how wide, how fast, that we can tell. And modeling very. The videos are so helpful. And, you know, I've done dozens of models. Always tell videos, photos. Somebody said, you know, I marked it on my barn, you know, where the high flow was, and we're out there with the survey crew, with surveying the mark on the barn. That's the only way we know. Yes. I think that would be a good part of the master. Certainly, best practices. I know part of the master will be evaluating erosion frames. Frequently, we come across sections that are really not tell decision moves from downstream to upstream. It's moved up there. A lot of times that's higher priority. Improvement process. Stop the incision, test this reach that's nice, but we don't adhere to. Yeah. And there's a lot of data available. I know MSD is got plant side, but also any state, city of Winsfield, or, you know, all reports they put out all of channel road talks really good document. A lot of different agencies were involved and talks about plants, how to, if you have erosion on your banks, how to address it. So I could, someone could remind me, I could email. one thing I was, and we'll get to the question answer, but I was hoping we could just group here, pair up, real quick, go through, and just to go through the process. It should only take a couple of minutes. It would embarrass. That way, this crew at least will have gone on.
John Lilly. Yes, have total of 22. Starting. Then down next. Then on down. Go to the ball. Water. All of it. Then also on pour it here. And, so when okay. I would think so. I would hope that they no. One, two, three. Three nights. However, that's a fact.
I don't know how nice songs to like do stuff. The area of education. City members questions where we go. Yeah. Not doing work. Dues. In terms of agency outreach, looks like. Honestly, there's a special rules that apply to the whitewater raft dry. Anything else? I did ask. Or something, like something that. I guess, yeah.
Really quick, because a lot of data. So what I can say is when you're taking channel data, it always helps to have a partner. It's way faster to do it with two people, so you have one person basically describe, taking the notes, and one person who's looking ahead. When we are out in the field, we're taking data points. It's just literally, you'll be like, all right, bank height, 3. Right. Bank angle, 2. Okay. Vegetation, 3. Kind of go through it. So what I'd like to do is just looking at this, if you all could just literally score it. Go ahead and go through and score it, and then I've got the next slide has sort of the score ranges that I see when I look at this. And then just take just a few minutes, and if you have any questions, just shout them out. Because if you have a question, others have the same question. All right, we about ready? You guys want to see what we're thinking? All right, we'll real quick go through it. So, sandy, thinly bedded limestone. The reason I say that is, and it's a lot clearer, but you can actually see the little chunks of limestone scale right here. But that's one for drought field. Bank slope forward or bank height. Vegetation 4, there's no vegetation. Could have a fair vegetation. But when I look at like that is the only real vegetation. Well, this guy. And I can tell you there's no wrong answer. All of this is just giving us an indication. So not one of these that is cool. Bank cutting, a lot of that's way you see it goes with bank cutting, 2 or 3 frequent cutting, regular cutting. It's not horrible. Bar development, 2 or 3, 4 to 4, we got bars halfway across. The only reason to see that, we actually have a low flow. So we can see the bars. I would support the 4. Yes. Rejam potential, good. I don't see really need in the channel or potential for. Well, that's going to be in the next obstruction. So I gave the obstruction of fair because this is cutting in halfway across. So if that were a wall, water can still flow over and across, but it is definitely for that. we definitely have an obstruction. Let's see, bed material consolidation. It's a fair, it's tough to do. You can't stand on it, you don't know if it's consolidated. But you can see it's not real sand. There are still a lot of large. Let's see, cross-section constriction, I gave that a fair, again, because you guys coming out. It would have been a 4 if this was a wall. Then you definitely. So just think about what you're trying for. And again, those can go for either way. And sediment movement was a fair, and the reason is because we don't have big dunes for sediment. Not scour. So it's somewhere in the middle. There's sediment being moved through the system, but it's not good because we don't have good large development. It's tough for a lot of good. Bad, but you'll find that you're either on that fair bad side a lot, or maybe a couple good, or you're on that good fair side. So that's it. And we're really interested in it. Read the description. Sorry, if the form was an epic fail again, or not,
I'm confused about the very beginning. But what you want to help you identify where we're at.
just something for you. So if you're going out and you're filling out your form, just some indication, some numbers so that you personally. So, the other thing, we so just a one
How do you mark up one?
so with your point number 1, first thing you're going to do is photos.
Okay.
And I should have mentioned, I really like video cam. You photo with to the city. You photo. Beautiful. So just use technology right to left. And these are the kind of tools that you know about. Again, funnel them to develop. Any of this somebody can. Oh, okay. Download a little package, photos. Oh, it's easy. I'll take right here all.
Yeah, can I don't know this is can I ask how many people in here have a smartphone? I assume most everybody, yes? So we're gonna actually, I think, I'll talk to Kathy about it. We're gonna see if we can figure out a way where it's possible. I know the signal's not always great everywhere, but where maybe you can do this without filling out a hard form. We can fill out a form on here where you're just clicking a couple buttons, you can upload your pictures in there, and it'll arrive in a much more concise fashion so that it can be expedited a little faster. Yes, sir.
Be something that we upload.
It's possible. I actually, I mean, it's not the system the city uses. I do it at work, so as we've been working here, I've been making a Google form for myself where I can upload all these things in there. So we'll get that figured out here quickly so that we can get that out to everybody that's using it. Yeah, we can put. What we're trying to do is get as much information as we can as fast as possible, while being respectful of the fact that a good chunk of our city doesn't have the greatest of internet connections. But I will also say, I back up to Cox Creek right at Thunderhead Canyon and West Glen Farms, and we had, some of you guys may have seen it. We had this huge pipe that got exposed during our giant storm in the summer. The American Water Company came out and cemented the whole thing over and fixed their problem. And I spent the last 2 weeks walking down the creek realizing that did fix that problem and created a whole bunch of them moving down this way. So the fixes that you guys are doing, on your private properties, which is what everybody would like to do quickly, you got to take into account. It's like Ken said, all of these things are linked together. Our city neighbors are creating a problem for us. Previous developments are creating a problem for us, and it's not going to be an easy fix, and it's not going to be inexpensive, and it's not going to be as fast as everybody would like it. But the faster we can get good data like this, we can really see. Because if I could ask, this area of this creek, if you were to kind of give it an average score, is this good, fair, or poor? So I walked from West Glen Farms and Thunderhead Canyon to the Elegant Child 2 weeks ago. There is no stretch of that creek, which is about 2 miles, that looks better than that.
No, that's all.
It's all,
I can tell you right.
Yeah, it's all poor.
I guess part of the question is in that case, Missouri American made a bigger problem.
They did.
How do we keep, the people that are actually supposed to know this stuff from making the problem bigger?
Well, I will say this. We did have MSD come out, and they were very nice to come out and talk to us. And basically what they said was, this is our problem to solve. We've worked tirelessly to try to find grants and try to find the state and try to find the federal government to help us fix this problem. They are not going to do it. This is a thing that we need to fix. And when we fix it, as we said earlier, this is the only city in the country that's founded on the principles of doing these kinds of things. We're the only group MSD has ever heard of that has a task force like this. We're the only people that exist in this state that are trying to do this on a mass scale. So once we fix it, correct.
But we can't do that unless we get the first. But we did that when they didn't.
No.
Also tried to stop that.
So we're gonna.